Hey you guys, welcome back to Romance Review TV with Lady T. Got another recap for you guys. Married at First Sight UK Season 7 episode number 14. We have our third commitment ceremony. A lot of couples made progress this week, but then when it comes to one particular couple, it seemed like maybe we got a little bit of gaslighting going on. And I don't mean by these two, it might be by production. So we'll talk about that. But before we do, take a second to make sure you're subscribed to the channel for all updates. And please don't forget to like and share. Okay, so we're going to start with our first couple, Shanita and Jordan. They made a lot of progress coming off of last week because there was a lot of nitpicking going on between these two. And it was more of Jordan being feeling like he was being nitpicked by Shanita. So it was time for them to be in the hot seat with the experts. And the experts were very happy of the progress that they made. And one of the reasons that they said they made the progress was because of the communication that they had increased and changed between each other, which I think is a good thing because communication in a relationship is key, and it just made them that much better. Neither one dug in their heels. They built on the communication that they did this past week, and it definitely made, a big change for the two of them. So it was their time to make their decision. And Jordan, of course, no surprise, he wrote stay. And no surprise here with Shanita, she also wrote stay, yay. So she's excited about their journey. So we got our next number 2 couple in my book, which is Sophie and Jonathan. Now these two, I was wondering outside of the honeymoon how they were going to do. And it looked like they settled in really nicely in their new apartment. The smiles are still there, the lightheartedness. There are some concerns, which, they address on the couch, which we'll talk about. But for the most part, they got the friendly banter. The communication is on point. So now they're on the hot seat at the commitment ceremony. And the experts are extremely happy about the progress that they made. They started off kind of at the wedding, but it has only progressed from that point forward. The only thing that was a concern that Jonathan brought up was life back home, because they have a distance between where they live. And the experts was like, right now just focus on the moment. Now they are halfway through the process this season, but at this point focus on growing the relationship and have those conversations as it come, especially, and they could have it now because they do have to think about the fact that what is life going to be like after they leave this whole experiment. But they both wrote stay, so I was happy about that. Besides Shanita and Jordan, Sophie and Jonathan is my number 2 couple. I think they're doing extremely well. Now, this next couple, which I put them at number 3 because of the fact that I honestly think they can do well, but I think that George is overthinking things. And I understand his past. As we know, in the past, he always fell for somebody, and then the next thing you know, they're out of there. So he's always either been betrayed or abandoned in previous relationships. And of course, now he's falling for April. They had that whole crazy thing at the honeymoon about that little challenge that she did with another person in a hot tub. But he is still in his head about this whole situation, whether or not, April is in it for the long haul. And the fact, too, that he has 4 kids. And is this something that she is really up to? Because she mentioned that she didn't even know if she wanted kids. So imagine being a stepmom. So now, 4 kids, that is. So now, they're on the hot seat. And emotions started to come to the surface because they've had a hard week. And a lot of it is due to his insecurities. And as he said on the hot seat, he want to make sure that she's in for the long haul. And I honestly think that, like he said, he's falling for this girl. And he wants to make sure that, she's going to be there. He don't want to get his heart broken again when he's falling for this girl. And at the same time, she gave him reassurance. She was like, I'm not going anywhere. And they asked him if he believed that. The question is, he did say yes, but does he truly, truly believe in his hearts of hearts that she is actually going to stick around for everything after the process is over. When he introduces the 4 children, she also got to deal with their mom. So I mean, it's a lot, but inevitably they both decided to stay. So I think, core values are important. The experts probably should have did a better job at matching, but is this something that they could work through? I think so. So my number 4 couple this week is Kwame and Kasia, surprisingly, because they started off rocky. Now, he wanted to take his time in his approach toward intimacy, whereas she was ready to go. And they had that big old blow up at that second dinner party. Well, with the help of Miss Charlene, who, of course, it was intimacy week, and she brought over a box of goodies, which you could tell by Kasia's face. She is smiling from ear to ear. She has a gorgeous smile. But it brought them closer with the fact that, with this being introduced to them, it kind of had him to let his walls down. They were holding hands at the dinner party. Now, one thing that the experts say is, why weren't they close together? And she's like, well, we need that space apart because at the end of the night, we know we're going to miss each other a little bit and be able to come together later. But we also wanted to be able to help the couple. So I'm happy for the two of them. She wrote stay, he wrote stay, and I just hope they stay in a good place and get so much better, because I honestly think that this couple can do extremely well. Okay, so next up at number 5 is Adrian and Thomas. Now, they've had some struggles, especially because of the fact that their personalities are so different. However, they also had intimacy week challenges where they had to do the stare gazing and the hugging, and this actually brought them closer together. And they talked more about that when they were on the hot seat at the commitment ceremony, where Adrian was like, the whole stare gazing thing is something that he's more into, but Thomas leaned into it very well. And as for Thomas, he absolutely loved the hugging task, which brought them even more closer. So they made a lot more strides with building their intimacy together. They already had the chemistry, but that closeness and the building of the chemistry even further was great. Now, they did mention to Thomas about the fact that he needs to be mindful about when he gets attracted to drama. Make sure you notice your partner. They both decided to write stay, which was no surprise because they did extremely well this week. Okay, at number 6, we got Jenna and Zoe. So these two have had some struggles over the past week. Remember the whole V thing, and everybody was wondering what the experts was talking about. But the whole vegan thing, with Jenna being vegan and, of course, Zoe being a meat eater, it was a big issue. That's pretty much the biggest things that they've been, having issues with. Now, on the hot seat, I will say Zoe brought up some things in regards to their relationship that I don't think Jenna heard before, which was a big issue, even though she seemed kind of shocked by what Zoe had to say. Because I will say Zoe actually thought that their relationship was doing fine, but you could tell by Jenna's face that might not be the case. So I don't know if they're just trying to put on the front. They both end up saying, Zoe said stay, yay, kind of like Shanita. And then Jenna said stay as well. But when it was all over and they got out the hot seat, one thing she talked about off camera when she walked off was the fact that Zoe brought up things in front of everybody else that she didn't talk with her about back home. And communication is key. Kind of talk that stuff over with her before you get out in an open forum, and it won't be so embarrassing. Now, let's talk about this couple, Matt and Gemma. Now, this couple shocked me because they did extremely well on the wedding day, which is the same day that it seems like Matt gets back to. Now, the whole thing about the sexual pleasure at the table, at the reception when she was talking about the whole you're going to need to get used to eating my fish every day. All of the innuendos within the first week of being with each other. Now, she calls it her sense of humor, whereas Matt is looking at this as being like, oh, a little bit too much. He also explained to the guys that when he thinks that she's got it under control, the next thing he takes 2 steps forward and she slammed right back into that same behavior. So now they're back on the hot seat. Well, no, this is their first time on the hot seat, but they kind of break down what's been going on, and the experts is wondering what the heck happened because they did so well on the wedding day. I mean, and even Gemma said it. Our families were happy. Her friends were saying that it's a perfect match. Everything was going according to plan. And I think what happened is when she started to show that side of her, like he said, I don't want you to change yourself. All he's saying is that kind of have a time and place for everything. And he want to get there with her organically. We had the similar issue kind of with Kwame and Kasia. Once they got there, they were good. You can't rush this. I mean, one person might be ready to go, the other person isn't. Somewhere there's got to be compromise, which is what the expert has said. So I honestly think that if they kind of just take a step back and kind of say, hey, I want to make sure that we both in a comfortable, safe space to have certain conversations. I don't want you to change who you are. I don't want you to change who you are. But at the same time, how do we meet in the middle with this where we can get to that place organically where we can actually now start moving forward to that direction? And I don't think it's not that he don't like her. I think he likes a lot of things about her. It's just that the innuendos so early on within the first week is the issue. So they finally get to the decisions. They both wrote stay. So obviously they see something in each other and they want to try to pursue this. But, they just got to have some communication. Now, they did say that we're not 100% at this point, but at least it's a starting point to see where they can go from here. Okay, so finally our last couple, and this is, if you checked out the thumbnail, I kind of want to discuss this because I'm kind of confused, and I don't know if you guys are. Maybe it's just me. You can talk about it in the comment section. We're going to talk about Whitney and Duka. Now, we've seen everything from day one with Whitney not really liking who he was when she met him at the altar, not want to participate in the challenges, complaining about, meeting up with experts, complaining about being at some of these dinner parties, calling him fake, not want to be 100%. I'm not feeling him. But then we get to the hot seat with the two of them. And then what we hear from Paul was the opposite, saying that she made progress and he is actually being fake. And for those who know what gaslighting is, and I know this is a term that really has come out in the past 5 years, is you're seeing one reality, but then somebody else is telling you, no, it's something different, as a different reality. So either there's some things that we're not seeing on camera, and there's maybe an edit portrayed more toward one or the other, or I don't know, we're being gaslit, because it just doesn't make sense. Everything that we've been presented by Whitney's behavior versus Duka's behavior, and then the expert is like, I saw progress and I saw Duka being fake. It didn't make sense to me. I mean, what do you guys think? I want to know in the comment section about, what you guys think about what Paul said. Now, granted, he's taken the task to change, but you can tell by her facial expression that she's absolutely loving this moment. He chose to stay, and when it was her turn, and you can tell by her facial reaction, I think this is the second week. And then all the theatrics with her looking up at the ceiling and, all these facial, I don't know. Plus, there's this scandal that's coming up the horizon as well. She ultimately decided that she wanted to leave. But of course, with one saying the opposite, with Duka saying he wants to stay for this, yeah, they have to stay. So I don't know. You guys let me know what you think about this whole thing. I don't see what Paul was seeing. We're being presented with one thing, but being told by experts something totally different. But, I mean, we'll have to see how this is all going to unfold with these two. They're not going to go anywhere, especially with what's out in regards to spoilers. Okay, so let's get the conversation started down in the comments section. Let me know what you think about the Whitney and Duka situation, and even if you have conversation about the other couples at this commitment ceremony. So, until the next video, like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you soon. Bye.